In the modern era, whenever we think of a Spider-Man game, we usually think of the latest releases from Insomniac Games, the Marvel Spider-Man trilogy. However, we tend to forget the whole evolution our friendly neighborhood had to go through in order to become what it is now. There have been many Spider-Man games since the dawn of the 21st century, but there is only one specific game of the whole pack that started it all. One game that many recognize as the first greatest Spider-Man video game. One game that really made us feel, for the first time, we were our favorite superhero. That's right, we're talking about Spider-Man for the Atari 26. Spider-Man for the PlayStation 1, developed by Neversoft, was released in August of 2000 and quickly gained the status of an unforgettable classic. It was the first 3D platform starring our beloved Webhead, and it was the pioneer of what we know as modern web swinging, crawling, and many other mechanics that made the gameplay way more enjoyable than it should. The game was very well received by the critics and many players around the globe. Such success led it to being ported to multiple platforms, such as N64, Dreamcast, PC, and even Mac. What? But not only that, it also brought a community of players that wanted to experience it a bit differently. All of them with one common goal in mind: beat the game as fast as humanly possible. I'm Sotelier, and please allow me to guide you through the world record history of Spider-Man 2000. Before we begin our journey, let's start clarifying the rule set of what's this video about. I'm gonna be covering the history of SMT2K Any% Easy records on the PlayStation version of the game, meaning that this won't include runs from any other platform where the game came out as previously mentioned. This doesn't mean though that I won't do some mentions to runners from different ports. Since the game itself shares tons of similarities across all platforms, it will be important to mention the improvements and discoveries other runners had found, no matter the version. Now that we're all set, let's dive in. So, where do we start? Well, let's travel back to the early 2000s. Remember Speed Demos Archive? Yeah, me neither. I was probably learning the alphabet at that time. For those unfamiliar with the site, SDA was, back in the day, the main website speedrunners used to post their runs for everyone to watch. SDA not only served to show speedruns, but it also served as a space for runners to know each other and share their experiences in this hobby. To begin this story, let's track the first time Spider-Man was mentioned as a possible speed game in the forums. 9 years after its release, on March 2009, a user by the name of Scarper42 created a thread on SDA asking if someone was interested in running the game. Some people showed interest in seeing a run of their childhood video game. One even commented that he was able to finish a run in one sit in less than an hour. Considering there was no video proving this or even an actual time for evidence, I wouldn't call this our first run for the game. However, this was just the beginning. After a bit of research courtesy of Ink Blowout, a very well-known PC runner, we found ourselves on what is considered to be the oldest run with video evidence for this game. 1 year after the thread in SDA was made, on March 2010, KCH Rules Task uploaded to YouTube 3 videos titled Spider-Man 64 Speedrun Work in Progress. This was part of a task run performed on the Nintendo 64 port of the game. For those unaware, TAS stands for Tool Assisted Speedrun. By using the tools typically granted through an emulator, you can create speedruns or playthroughs that are much more precise and technically demanding than what a human could reasonably pull off. These runs usually work by the task order, breaking down the game frame by frame and deciding what inputs and actions occur on each frame. This task didn't really show any kind of fancy tech or movement for the run. It's very important, however, to highlight this for our story due to giving us a notion of what we're expected to watch in future runs. Before we talk about aspects of this run, let's dive first into the game itself to know what is required to beat it entirely. Spider-Man 2000 is a linear game that consists of 34 levels. You cannot skip from one level to another and you have to beat all of them in order. The game includes 4 difficulties, being easy the fastest one due to Kid Mode having unskippable in-game cutscenes. Scarper42 even mentioned this in his thread. Length of the levels vary through the whole game. Some of them can last up to 3 minutes and others can be completed in under 10 seconds. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Most of these levels consist of getting from point A to point B. Some of them require certain actions like killing enemies, pulling some levers, solving puzzles, or saving hostages. And let's not forget about boss fights. As a speedrunner myself, I will try and get through the whole game history in less than a minute. The story begins when Spy is wrongly accused of stealing toxic technology. Then the city starts to be covered in toxic fog. Later on, we find ourselves stopping a robbery in the bank. After that, we receive a call from J. Jonah Jameson, who's been confronted by a scorpion. We save him, he calls the police, and a chase over New York begins. After we evade the cops, we meet with Black Cat, who delivers some bad news. Venom has kidnapped NJ, and Rhino has been creating chaos at Omnitech. After our fight with Rhino, Black Cat gets badly injured and is kidnapped too. Later that day, we chase Venom and fight him. He then escapes to the seaworld where we face lizard enemies and travel through pipes, a subway, a puzzle, and the deadly rising water. After a second fight with Venom and saving MJ, we make a truce with Brock in order to stop the Spidey conspiracy and figure out what's going on. We head up to the Bugle in search of clues, only to encounter symbiotes infesting the whole place. After a bunch of trouble with these creatures, we manage to find the impostor, who resulted to be Mysterio. After we defeat him, we head to a warehouse where more symbiotes await us. We reach the men's lab where the fog is coming from, deactivate the machine, save Black Cat, and fight the mastermind behind all of this. Spoilers alert, it's Doc. Who could have thought? We leave him unconscious and then we fight Carnage. After blasting him with his wings, we finally manage to save the day. Nope. We get chased by this abominable creature called Monster Rock through a very long tunnel, and after we escape the imminent explosion, we finally save the day. Oh, and we celebrate by playing poker with Daredevil, Punisher, and Captain America. KCH bots were the first proof of someone trying to speedrun the game. And we can already say some strats that save time, like using web zips during missile attack to avoid crawling for longer, or keeping Rhino stuck inside the barrels to chase him. Apart from those, we can fairly say that this was a showcasing of someone trying to complete the game as fast as possible in the intended way. Unfortunately, part 3 is the last one available to watch, and that only lasts until Spidey fights Venom in the alley. A year later, in May of 2011, a user by the name of the Matrix Logout did a segmented run. Segmented runs are different than single segment ones. One is done by editing segments together and presented as full playthroughs, while the other is the most common way to speedrun nowadays, doing full runs in one sitting. This time, the run was done on the PC version, but in a more challenging way. He completed the game on hard mode and without taking any damage.
What got into him? Is he insane?
We finally got a full run of the game completed in under an hour and 30 minutes. However, due to the run's difficulty, Matrix played very safely in most of the playthrough, not showing any real strat to save any time. We do have an honorable mention though, since this is the first time we watch a strat used in Carnage. In this fight, we are supposed to force him into the sonic bubble in the middle of the stage to damage him. Once the bubble goes off, he walks away from it, and you have to get him back again. Matrix shows us that by spamming web on him while he's inside the sonic bubble, you can manage to keep him in place so the fight ends much quicker. After this run, the activity for Spider-Man died off. No more runs were found during this period, and the SDA forum went radio silent. While we thought Spidey was abandoned for 2 years, Piston, a multi-platform runner for this game, absolutely busted this myth. He then introduced 3 names from other runners already running and breaking the game. Bonza, Firecrotch, both players of the PlayStation version, and Joshkas, an N64 runner. Let's talk about Josh for a second, since apparently he has the oldest single segment run of this game on easy. What was his time? An hour something? Maybe sub-hour? Sub-50? This was Joshka's personal best. Now we're talking about a real speedrun. But what did he do in order to save this much time? Well, for starters, he had a really good knowledge of the game, knowing what to do in each level and going as quick as he could. His movement and the route he took on many levels was also really good at the time. Another important factor to consider was the N64 frame rate and having little to no loading times, making N64 and PC the fastest ports to run the game. Piston even mentioned this on the SDA forums and was aware that PlayStation wouldn't be able to top Josh's time, given the huge disadvantage they had against those loading times. But perhaps the most important part of this run is the introduction of swing canceling. In this game, whenever you want to swing to a building, most of the time you will end up getting 2 swings to reach it. This is the basic swinging mechanic. Once Spidey has autolock into a place where he wants to swing, you cannot change the direction or the speed in these swings. However, if you interrupt it with an attack, web, or a jump input, you are able to initiate another swing, but this time you can alter the direction you are going. This is known as swing canceling and is very useful throughout the whole run. Not only allows you to do unlimited swings through buildings, it's also a faster alternative even if you're going in just one direction. With this tech, Josh went flying during the chase levels, and not only that, he was also able to get a cutscene skip during the level called Scale the Girders. Normally, you will swing to this block only to trigger a 7-second cutscene that swings us into the next level. However, Josh discovered that the trigger was still active even without playing the cutscene, so he cancels his swing in mid-air just in time to reach the final trigger and skips watching it. This run truly showed the potential Spider-Man had as a speed game, but with a run this good, it was unrealistic to expect someone to top this soon. Nonetheless, that didn't stop Bonesaw or Piston from running, and Bonesaw was loving it. Every second of it.
Nice! Yeah, motherfucker!
In April of 2013, Bonesaw started streaming Spider-Man on his Twitch account. His personal best at the time was a 55:02, being the oldest world record for PlayStation we know to date. We do not have footage of this run, but let's not worry about that, because we do have the full run that crushed this time. A 5-minute improvement over the world record. Let's break this run to see what he did as the pioneer for this version. Bonesaw starts the run by swinging and avoiding any confrontation on the first level. On level 2, he crawls all the way to the top and kills the bank robbers one by one to trigger the next level. On hostage situation, after getting a few shots, he completes the level normally by saving every hostage and moves on to stop the bomb. Same as usual, he completes it the intended way and is ready to save Jonah in Race to the Bugle. You should have noticed by now that web-balling the fox is the fastest way to get rid of them. On this level, Bonesaw struggles a bit crawling some buildings, but ends up reaching the first boss fight in under 7 minutes. In the fight against Scorpion, he uses Web Fist to increase his damage, receiving some punches along the way, but not too badly. On the chase levels, his movement is mostly smooth without any major issues, aside from a dead-end missile attack, in which you can see he's not familiarized yet with the web zips KCH Rules did on his run back in 2011. He zips all his way up in Scale the Girders, but doesn't go for the cutscene skip. On Police Evaded, he plays it safe to avoid falling into the fog. He fights Rhino the intended way, using the electrical generators to stun him until he finally runs out of HP. Catch Venom goes very smoothly, but he does take a hit on the Venom fight, losing him some time. To make things a bit worse, this happens on Sewer Entrance.
Like the only way across the cavern is
Wow, good job, Spider-Man. You're an amazing superhero. Holy.
He completes Sewer Caverns using the intended targeting mode to swing pipe to pipe and reaches the subway. This level is an auto-scroller, which means the level ends after a predetermined time and we can't do anything to speed it up. This takes 2 minutes and 50 seconds to end. Your only objective here is to survive the lizards, so what Bonesaw does here is to just jump constantly to avoid dealing with them for the entire time. It's on Sewage Plan where things get interesting. Bonesaw unknowingly clips through the gate that leads us to the end of this level, discovering an immense escape on the fly.
What?
already at full health.
What? New fucking skip found? Man.
These skips having to go all our way to the levers located on the east and west section of the map, something that Josh did on his N64 run. On hidden switches, he tried a skip found by Ababov, a glitch hunter at the time, in where you clip through this wall to fall into the next level trigger. Unfortunately for Bonza, he missed the trigger and had to restart the level and complete it normally.
I'm just gonna do this level the normal way.
The next level is Tunnel Crawl, a very dangerous one in which we crawl through a thin tunnel to reach the next area without touching the water that rises from time to time. If a Spider-Man touches a small amount of this water, it's an insta-death, causing a massive time loss. Bonza plays it safe and completes the tunnel in 2 cycles. He waits on the middle section for the water to rise and lower 1 time. After that, he just pulls the lever on the other side of the room, goes down to pull another lever, and that opens the gate for the next level. On Venom's puzzle, our goal is to open the 4 gates with the switches in the waterfall room. Each switch opens a specific or a couple of specific doors. The puzzle is very simple to solve for Bonza. The fastest combination to complete the level is to web both red and blue switches. He comes back to the entrance and up to Lizard's maze we go. This level is similar to Tunnel Crawl as it involves crawling on the ceiling to avoid falling into the deadly water. This level though is way longer and has multiple paths to take, along with several crushers to drop your HP very low. If it's your first time playing the game, you could easily get lost in this maze, but Bonza already knows the way out, so he crawls over the maze with ease. Next up is our second fight with Venom, and this is a tricky one. Venom has 4 places to spawn, either on the front, back, right, or left lever, and it all depends on RNG, which means random number generator. In simpler terms, Venom's spawns and time to spawn are based on luck. Luckily for Bone, he gets really good spawns and gets a quick Venom fight. Symbiote's Infest Bugle goes okay for Bonza. He saves the 2 hostages without major mistakes and gets safely to Elevator Descent. Another semi-auto-scroller in which we need to wait until a door opens up to push the switch so the elevator keeps moving downwards. Once Bonza reaches the final door, he enters Stop the Presses. This time our goal is to destroy 4 symbiote generators, and Bonza does it by shooting a web wall on one of their sides. After the 4th is destroyed, he drops down to Bugle's basement. Goal here is very similar to the last one, as we need to destroy 2 generators, but this time we need to pull a lever in a hidden spot to progress. Bonza had issues with the symbiote not letting him pull it, so he decided to kill it. We are going to refer to this symbiote from now on as Mike. Once the last generator is destroyed, a cutscene triggers and leads up to the next boss fight, Mysterio. Beating Mysterio is easier said than done. The geometry of the level plus the reaction time you need to have to avoid his attacks are quite challenging and can be quite frustrating for first timers. Even Bonza had problems with it, but nevertheless he beats him and proceeds to Waterfront Warehouse. Yet another level with symbiotes and generators on it. Bonza mentions this.
We found a clip in this level that can get you straight to the end, but it's not really optimized yet, so I'm not going to use it.
So we know for a fact that by this time a skip for Waterfront Warehouse was already discovered. After a bit of a struggle with the symbiotes, the level is over and Bot gets to Underwater Trench. A very linear level in where we go through 3 rooms of lasers pointing right at us, and Bonza goes through this without issues. Stopping the fog is really simple as well, as we just need to web 3 switches in the ABC rooms to free Black Cat, wait for an unskippable cutscene and move on into the boss fight with Doc Ock. Quite an easy battle. You just need to wait for the switches to come down, and after you push the 4th one, you will have around 5 seconds to hit him as much as you can. Bonza managed to kill Doc in 2 cycles and is ready to fight Carnage. Probably the easiest boss fight of all, since we already know the strat Matrix using his run. Unfortunately for Bonza, he was unaware of this and ends up having a rough Carnage, but still way ahead of his PB. Finally, we reach the last level, a monster hog chasing where the movement is key and avoiding the walls is ideal. This chase lasts around nearly 3 minutes, so one can imagine Bonza being pretty tense when going through it.
This guy actually scared me as a kid. Look at how fast he just caught up to me, man. I was so ahead of him. The more time I can gain now, the fucking better. Holy sh... No.
Level 1.
Level
On the
1.
home stretch, baby.
Jesus. Okay, go. World record, baby.
A brand new world record by almost 5 minutes. A decent start, But could he beat this? How long will it take? Oh boy, little did we know, Bonsa was just merely warming up.
You've got to be joking, man. Come on. Hit the man. What's happening if I didn't lose it? Anytime! Yeah! Sub 50, sub 50, sub 50! Oh, but Jay Jonah, fuckface. We got it, dude!
After a couple months of grinding and 8 minutes of improvement over his initial 5042, Bonsa knew it was time to take a step further and bring Spider-Man into the big stage. Summer Games Done Quick, a speedrunning marathon that contributes to charity, was just around the corner and Bonsa was in. The small community of Spider-Man runners was starting to grow, and getting their game in SGDQ was truly the biggest gift they could have ever wanted. The SDA forum was gaining a lot of activity, especially after KCH came into the discussion to post their personal bests at the moment. And this was the time where a major time save was found. For years, it was believed that defeating Doc Ock in only one go was impossible, until Piston got it once in a run but couldn't replicate it after. This is when KCH found out that with the right setup, the kill can become consistent. At least for the N64 version. But again, ports share tons of similarities, so it was theorized that this could also work on every other platform. However, this discovery was only posted on this forum and Bonsa was nowhere to be seen, so it is very likely that he wasn't aware of it. Days went flying, and on July 26th, it was time for Bonsa to showcase one of his favorite games to a wider audience. No more resets, it's showtime.
Alright, are we ready? Yep. Okay, 3, 2, 1, go.
Run starts strong with minimal mistakes exiting the bank. Race to the Bugle was decent, but Jonah unfortunately does not collaborate for the one-cycle Scorpion. Moving on to Chase, Bonsa nails some great zips on missile attack while also getting smooth movement overall. Rhino goes well, and while the Venom race had this little bug happening, the fight with him goes clean too.
Very good. Good Venom one.
Very good.
It's time for the sewer levels. Bone gets really good swings through the infamous pipes, rides the subway with his infinite jumps, gets sewage plant skip second try, and a very quick hidden switch escape.
For no reason, and next level. That's it, that's hidden switches, skip.
The rest of it goes really decent without any deaths, although a very close call happens on Lizard's maze.
More down here, and we get crushed by one. Ouch. That really hurt. No, don't get stuck. If I die. Oh, just saved it. Oh.
Unluckily, Venom takes way more time than expected, but Bone is not worried. He knows he's on pace for a great time. Bugle levels went okay. This time Bonesaw goes pacifist on Mike and avoids wasting time with him. Mysterio dies easily and it's time to face the hardest skip in the game, Warehouse Skip.
We literally had no idea this existed, but it's a seriously hard trick. And we go over here, go up here, and we swing down to said vent. We go over here, and hopefully I can do this first try. That would be amazing. Let's see.
An enormous ventilation shaft. There must be something big down there.
And next level. First try, yes, that's what I wanted.
He nails it. He finishes lasers and stopping the fog fairly quickly. Doc Ock goes as planned and Carnage goes even cleaner. Just one more level to go.
Wow, that's like only, I don't know, a half a minute off a world record. That's really good.
This could be considered as the apex of Bonesaw's experience speedrunning Spider-Man. He learned, practiced, and conquered the PlayStation scene up until this point. Sadly, the Bonesaw era was coming to an end. A week after SGDQ, Bonesaw turned on stream. His number of followers had grown exponentially because of his performance on the marathon, and many of these new viewers wanted to watch more runs from him. They didn't know it yet, but Bonesaw was doing his last runs for this game. He had gotten a 41:38 before, but sadly there is no footage of that run. However, we do have the whole VOD of his improved and ultimately last personal best.
Dude, got the first cycle on the Scorpion. Yes! Fuck yeah! We fucking got it! Oh shit! Dude, 41-28 fucking flat. Yeah! Not as good as I want. I wanted that 30 seconds, but fuck, I'll take that shit.
Bonsa wanted to improve this time a bit more, but unfortunately his determination and focus on grinding the game were not as strong as before. He ended up retiring from Spider-Man and moved on to other games. Just some days after Bonsa's last run, a runner named BG8 started streaming his own attempts on Twitch. He was one of the thousands of people that watched Bonsa's run in Games Done Quick and immediately got interested in learning and running the game. Of course, his online presence was nowhere near as big as Bonsa's, so his improvement went under the radar for a few weeks. Ultimately, on August 17 of 2013, he got a personal best and uploaded to YouTube with this description. The time he got? A brand new world record. After 11 consecutive world records from Bonsa, someone else was finally able to reach the top. BG's run wasn't perfect by any means, but his movement was definitely a big factor to gain the upper hand over Bone. He also did some things differently, like pressing 2 switches at the same time on hostage situation to skip one cutscene, having a faster route with his swings at Police Evaded, a much better strat in Rhino, and a much more consistent Carnage. However, this run also had plenty of mistakes and decisions that cost time. He had a rough time on building top chase. Same could be said for his first Venom fight. His swinging through the pipes on Sewer Cavern was a bit sloppy, he got an unexpected clip into out of bounds in basement, and he didn't go for Water from warehouse skip. All of this just made BG realize he wasn't done, and just the very next day, he got another round going. With less mistakes than before, BG got a 40-39, a 25 seconds improvement, but before he could ever think of getting the first sub 40 for PlayStation, BG decided it was also his time to retire and do other stuff. And with this run, is where PlayStation will sit for a while. And oh boy, it was a while. Both Bonsa and BG had moved on and no other PlayStation runner was present to push the time further. Take a guess on how much time will have to pass before we see a new world record on PlayStation. Maybe 1 year? What about 2015? Okay, sure, someone came in 2016. Yeah, almost 5 years without any improvement over BG's time. I'ma call this period the Great Drought era in the PlayStation history. However, this doesn't mean the game itself wasn't getting new runners or that people weren't finding new stuff. Let's take a look at what other ports had to offer while PS was dormant. Piston, the PC and N64 runner, kept running the game for a bit, lowering his times both on easy and even on kid mode. During the time BG was doing his runs, Piston made a discovery on Stop the Bomb and posted it on the SDA forums. He found that Spidey can zip through the door leading to the last area where the bomb is located. This skips having to kill all the previous enemies, and since the door for the bomb is deloaded, it also saves having to press a switch and wait for its cutscene. The forum gained activity once more, and in January of 2014, KCH posted some skips that he has previously found, as well as a new way to skip the last cutscene in Bugle's basement. Remember that in order to complete this level, you must destroy both generators in it and then wait for a long cutscene of Spidey confronting his doppelganger and following him to the end of the level. This whole cutscene lasts 15 seconds, so the skip was really useful. For the rest of 2014, no major discoveries happened. N64 had a new runner, Tepacle, who beat Josh Cat's world record, but only due to better movement and execution. Meanwhile, two speedrunners who were also friends, Author Blues and Heaney, were racing against each other on the PlayStation version.
I remember. Okay, let's do another run.
While both were making progress, their times weren't even close to entering world record territory, so both ended up moving on. There was one runner though, that came close to beating it. This is Artaz. On November 15 of 2014, Art got a 41-12 while streaming his runs on Twitch. He was aware of some of the newer skips, being the first PlayStation runner to use the stop the bomb clip in a run. With this time, he positioned himself as second on the leaderboards, only 34 seconds behind BG. Unfortunately, or should I say luckily for BG, Art lost interest after reaching this time and vanished. By the end of 2014, speedrun.com was made and runners will now opt to submit their runs there instead of SDA. The activity on the forum died after this and was never brought back to life. In 2015, the Spider-Man community was starting to look like a graveyard. No runs, no runners, it seemed like everyone wasn't interested in running this game anymore. And then Sam came. In late 2015, Sandwich started running the PC version, and his skill and knowledge of the game improved in a way no one had ever seen before. Piston, who was still doing runs occasionally, quickly became his friend, and both players would set an unprecedented era of discoveries and strats that would push this game to the next level. Many of these new strats consisted in minor optimizations in routing, like a faster way to get to the last building and get to the bank, and race to the bugle, or using targeting mode in bank approach to gain more height. Other strats made levels way less stressful, such as clipping inside one of the lizards on Subway and getting one cycle Scorpion in a more consistent way. But the major time saves came from these big discoveries. An immense oversight by many runners who have played before this finding was to fight bosses like Scorpion, Rhino, and Venom without knowing what was the combo that dealt the most damage. We have seen in runs from Bonza and BG that the standard way to fight these bosses was using the triple punch combo repeatedly. If you instead do a double kick and a punch, well, the results speak for themselves. Runners used to crawl this tunnel all the way till the middle section of it, then waited until the water rose, went down again, and then kept crawling. PC runners started doing zips all the way through to skip waiting for this cycle, giving them enough time to reach the last part of it without drowning. This is a very hard trick due to its riskiness, especially on PlayStation where the water kills you instantly as opposed to PC. Doing this right saves approximately 15 seconds. Normally, you will need to destroy all 4 seamless generators in order to get through this bend and advance to the next level. But that requirement does not activate the level trigger by any means. In fact, the trigger is always active and is just down there. Similar to the door clip in Stop the Bomb, if you clip through the garage door in where the final area is, the area before the loads, leaving the vent dock and its trigger just one jump away. This skips the need to destroy 2 out of the 4 generators, saving about 10 seconds. One of the longest indoor levels is Hostage Situation. This level requires you to save all 5 hostages from the thugs, 2 in this room and 3 in the other, so you can get into the elevator and move on to the next level. Compared to Stop the Presses, the level trigger only activates when all the hostages are safe. And in order to save each person, you can either kill the thug near them, let them notice you, or you can touch the hostages and they will start running away. However, see this hostage right here? The intended way to save him is to press the switch number 1 from this interior. This is because we are not supposed to be able to enter this room before liberating him. But if all hostages can be saved by just touching them, then we must find a way to enter the hostage room as early as possible. This is what Piston and Sam thought, and putting both minds to work, they figured out a way to make this happen. Spidey is capable of clipping through the ceiling with precise jump impulse. After he gets out of bounds, you can swing to the corner of the first corridor and skip loading the next area. Then, carefully enter the hostage room by its side. Find the invisible hostage trigger, open the door to the next area from there, and complete the level as normal. Time save? Around 12 seconds. While Lizard's Maze wasn't a maze anymore to most runners, it was still a really long level. Crawling through the whole thing felt like an eternity to runners, so they started to theorize a possible shortcut. This is a map of the level, and this is the route runners take to get to the end. However, Glitch Hunter Avabot realized that the final section was really close to one of the dead ends after the second intersection. If you find the right spot, you can do a very precise zip between these walls to clip out of bounds and swing to the last section of the maze. Unfortunately, the skip seemed impossible to perform in a run due to its hard nature. Thankfully, Sam found an easier and safer way to do it. First, you try to clip Spider-Man with a zip to the corner. His body needs to be halfway out, otherwise he's not going to be far enough to clip. You also have to be careful not clipping more than halfway too, because Spidey could end up falling automatically to the water. After finding the right position, enter targeting mode, aim up and a bit to the right, zip, and you will find yourself on the opposite side of the wall while being out of bounds. Then, you must enter targeting mode again while looking to your left and swing. And voila! That's an enormous 25 seconds if you get this first try. This is possibly one of the hardest skips to perform while running. Its conception occurred when Sam was toying around this level to find any oddities about it. As we already know, in order to beat this level, we must destroy the first generator in the left room. This opens up the next area for us to move into and get to where Mike is. Press the switch behind it and then destroy the second generator. Once we pass this fire, the door behind us closes, preventing us from backtracking the level. However, Sam found a way to bypass this, but only if you are fast enough. The door shuts whenever our Spidey sense goes off. If we time correctly the moment this happens, we can turn back and instantly zip to the wall behind the fire. After this, we only have about a second to jump to this metal floor, because if we don't do it, we will fall into the void as the room reloads. Once we are here, you gotta jump around the wall and start swinging towards the next room, but without going in bounds. At this point, swing to the right and stick to this door. Aim behind your back where the elevator used to be and swing towards it. Then you just need to come back where the door is. This time the floor will spawn. This last room is unclimbable and you cannot zip or swing at any part of it. This is why, to finish the skip, you must jump around this wall and land safely to, finally, walk to the exit. You can already see why this skip is one of the most complex to hit correctly. There are many ways it can go wrong, but doing it right saves around 15 seconds. With all of these new findings, Sam dominated the PC leaderboard during the rest of 2015, the entirety of 2016, and most of 2017. During these years, new faces joined the community. But there was one runner whose face was already known. Arthas returned, but not to PlayStation where he previously ran. This time, he was going after the title of PC King. Around this period, the Spider-Man speedrun community created a Discord server, in where every Spider-Man game had a dedicated channel. This included, of course, Spider-Man 2000. After analyzing Sam runs and learning the new strats, Art was ready to fulfill his mission. In August of 2017, Art managed to beat Sam's time, marking the start of a new generation. He didn't stop there though. He wanted to push SM2K to its limits. But in order to do that, he and the rest of the community will need to keep looking for time saves in every known corner of this game. And I mean that figuratively, and very, very literally. Arthas got 4 more world records on PC, lowering his time by almost 2 minutes. By 2018, the community had grown quite a bit more, and new people were interested in running the game, this time in the version they felt more familiar with. The great drought of PlayStation was finally coming to an end, and with the whole progress speedrunners had made on other ports, it was only a matter of time before BG's 4038 was demolished. On March 11, 2018, a runner named Santi99 submitted his first run to the PlayStation leaderboards. And, as expected, it was a brand new world record of 4024. Surprisingly though, this run didn't include any of the new strats discovered by the PC runners. It looked like Santi wasn't aware of them or had no interest in checking out other runs for this game. But then, how did he improve BG's time without anything new? Well, he technically didn't. While he had overall good movement and knowledge of the game, the reason why he got a better time was because of something else. Let's compare both runs to find this answer. Did you see it? BG's 4038 was done on a PlayStation 2 without the usage of fast stick speed. This feature allows for faster loading times while playing PlayStation 1 games. Santi's run was done on the EPS-XE emulator, which at the time had comparable loading times to a PlayStation 2 with FTS enabled. This ended up saving over a minute and a half over BG's. And so, in order to run this game optimally on the PlayStation version, you had to use this feature. 3 months passed after Santi's run and no new challengers approached to beat it. However, during this time, the PC runner, Ink Blowout, was making huge progress on his personal best. He bopped both Strudel and Sam within the same month, and managed to make R sweat a bit. Of course, Ink wasn't doing this just by optimizing his movement, he was also finding and applying new ways to break the game even further. For instance, one strat that was found late 2016 and used in a task was not being utilized on runs yet. User Grandpa Classes published this task in November of 2016. This was done on an X64 emulator and showed all the strats known by then, including a new one. Grandpa discovered a way to make the Mysterio fight way easier. If you walk to the edge of the third platform, Mysterio won't be able to grab you, giving you plenty of room to shoot him without the need to dodge. Ink started to use this in his runs, but he knew this wasn't enough to beat Arthas. In mid-2018, Art found a wall clip in the last area of Symbiosis Fist Bugle that led you directly to the next level trigger. The only problem was the high risk of not getting it fast enough. But you know what they say, nothing venture, nothing gain. Ink started to take these riskier strats to save as much time as possible. He also improved the route in skips for Bugle's Basement and Waterfront Warehouse. Meanwhile, back on PlayStation, a runner named Will and Force was starting to stream attempts on Twitch. Will was determined to become number 1 on the PS leaderboards and improve quickly as weeks passed by. On June 19, 2018, Will got the first sub 40 on PlayStation with a 3953. Unfortunately, we do not have video proof of this, so we cannot be sure about what improvements were made over Santi's run. The only certainty is that he also used the EPSXE emulator, putting both on equal footing in regards to loading times. After his run, Will took a break to focus on speedrunning Enter Electro, the sequel of this game. But little did he know, Santi wasn't going to give up his title that easily. A PS run was finally done using some of the strats found during all these years. Santi's world record was reclaimed. With this time, PlayStation had officially beaten Yoshika's 39:49 in the Nintendo 64, a time that was set 5 years ago. While the start and middle of the run were pretty good, both Santi and Will knew the endgame was really sloppy and full of mistakes. The battle for the throne continued.
Boom, number 1, bitches. Number 1 again, it's mine.
This back and forth on the PlayStation leaderboards started resonating inside the community. American runner Soyalix, who had moved on from Kid Mode after getting his world record on it, tried any percent to see how close he could get to be a world record contender. His PB at the moment, 42:06, but he was planning to improve it. People were expecting a brand new world record from either of these every week or so. However, there was one runner that, watching all of these runs happening, wanted to join the fun. And while neither Santi, Will, or So expected another challenger, no one could have predicted what happened next.
Просто вау.
What do you do after taking over a kingdom? Well, you obviously conquer another one. And that's precisely what Arthas did. Having played the PS version for 4 years, Art wanted to take a step in and show how it's done. This run was truly ahead of its time. Even with the big time loss on Stop the Presses, Art demolished the world record, improving it by almost 5 minutes. In order to beat this time, runners will now need to implement all the known strats, further optimize their movement, and gain as much experience as they could. Of course, this immense task will require a strong mindset and determination, and no one wanted to go up against that monster. Soyalix ended up getting a sub 40 as a personal goal, but moved on to different categories and games. Will tried learning some of the skips, but ultimately gave up and took an indefinite break. Santi, on the other hand, didn't want to touch the game again and vanished from the community. It was official. Art's time was going to stay uncontested for a very long time. Meanwhile, while Art's title was pretty set in stone on PlayStation, his one on the PC leaderboards was starting to crumble. In September of 2018, Ink Blowout finally dethroned Art, but this lasted only for a couple of months. Art responded with his last run of this game, and while he was still around in the community, he wasn't grinding anymore. It was clear that Art's legacy was going to be remembered for years to come, no matter what. "2019 is considered one of the years with less activity regarding the PlayStation community. Art's 3140 was still considered the run that killed PlayStation, and runners were trying other categories or different consoles. Ink reclaimed world record on PC, but soon enough stopped playing. Without Art to respond, there wasn't really any competition to push and motivate him further. There was a bit of a discussion on the Discord server where runners were debating about emulators and real hardware for the PlayStation being any different. While some believe emulators should be hidden due to its inconsistencies with the original console, others wanted to keep the leaderboard as it was due to the amount of runners on emulator and the accessibility it brings. Discussion ended with leaderboards remaining the same, but this was not the last time the same topic will be brought up on the table. Then 2020 happened, and while quarantine wasn't ideal for a lot of hobbies and businesses, it did open the doors to many people who wanted to give a shot at speedrunning. Players like Maniatic Killer, Sephirafin, and Kamislav started doing a couple of runs on the PlayStation version. N64 runner Imprisoned Shadow came back after a long break and started grinding for world record. Soyalix and Mr. Mosh, both already experienced PS runners, were trying to get back on the grind for this game. The pandemic certainly played a vital role for the flux of activity during this year, but a question still remained. Can Arthas 3140 be beaten? There weren't really any major skips discovered during this period, so to beat this time you still needed to nail everything on a run and not have any major mistakes. It was the 20th anniversary of the game, and a familiar face started streaming attempts on Twitch.
Hello, motherfucker.
Will is back, and this time, he wasn't going away until he became number 1 again.
You know what, man? You are a jolly great dildo. No! Damn it! Woo! Holy shit! even close. That was all fucked up, man. Damn. Shit. Not bad of a run. Not too bad. That was weird. Ooh, just made it. Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
If you want to fight, follow me.
No, you follow me. No, come on, he's dead, Alright, now I just need to get elevator pass and then the basement glitch, and I think we're golden. Oh my god, I'm doing it. No, come on. Come on, please. I fucking did it! Holy shit! Hands are trembling. Oh my goodness, I did it!
Indeed, the mad lad actually did it. After a month and a half of practice and attempts, Will and Force had finally beaten Art's time, a record that stood for over 2 years. And with such a solid run too. Almost all the skips were done fairly clean, and there were very minor hiccups during the whole playthrough. While the sub 31 was clearly within reach, Will stopped grinding Spider-Man after this run. He thanked both Art and Ink for their work and retired the very same day. We are now entering 2021, and while this year has welcomed new runners, world record contenders for the PlayStation were nowhere to be seen. In regard to discoveries, in the last couple of years, Ink found a couple of optimizations in already known skips, like on elevator descent and waterfront warehouse. Apart from that, the community has only been active on Discord to discuss some aspects about categories, the appearance of the leaderboards, and miscellaneous stuff. The world was starting to recover from the pandemic during 2022, and the Spider-Man community was also gaining activity once again due to multiple runs happening during this year. Ink was coming back after a long break in 2021, improving his PC world record. A new N64 runner, second place, was making good progress on the no skips category, and Shadow was also improving his runs on any percent. Meanwhile, on the PlayStation leaderboards, multiple runners were submitting their personal bests. And while these were good attempts, no one was even close to Will's 3112. Beating a run like that would require the strongest of wills. But who would be up to the task?
Excuse me? What?
That's me. How did I get here? Let me rewind a bit to explain. I started speedrunning in August of 2022. Didn't know where to start, so I began enumerating possible games I would like to speedrun. Two of them caught my attention, Spider-Man 1 and 2 for the PlayStation 1. I have fond memories of both games from my childhood, so I decided to give them a shot and see how far I could get on the leaderboards. I started, unironically, running the sequel first, Enter Electro, since the skips on SM2K scared the living crap out of me.
I'm so fucking scared right now!
I spent a month learning EE and became an experienced runner on it. It was in September when I decided to move on to the prequel. Due to both games having basically the same mechanics, I was confident I wouldn't have a bad time learning this one with my current knowledge. Of course, I opted to do other categories first before the main one. Once I learned the skips and polished my movement for some weeks, I managed to get a 35-33, a time that surpassed my expectations, but that, compared to the world record, was still way improbable. Around this time, in the middle of October, only me and a new runner, Senka Roshi, were doing PlayStation runs. Unfortunately for both of us, an announcement was made on the server that caught us by surprise. Emulator runs were about to be hidden by default on the leaderboards. This, of course, demotivated me from doing attempts, and it also made Senka retire. During the rest of 2022, there was little to no activity across all versions. Could this really be the end of Spider-Man speedruns? While I was checking the game's directory on Twitch, I stumbled upon a new runner named Willy Fetty. He was streaming his first attempts at the game playing the no skips category. I invited him to the Discord server in case he wanted to join the community and ask for advice. Then, a domino effect occurred in the following weeks. Soon enough, we both started talking more in each one of his streams and became buddies. Since Fetty's goal was to beat Soyalik's time in no skips, So also started playing again to push his time even further. All this activity attracted Skid Kangaroo and Burke Maverick, both Marvel's Spider-Man runners, who, after watching our streams, joined our crew and started doing races, grinding, and why not, doing interesting stuff with us.
Yes, he can. I've done it.
Shut the hell up! What the fuck is this?
Oh, please don't tell me that I'm the only one that is not gonna be me in this race.
I'm gonna guess you're playing Ultra Kill right now.
Come on! Let go of me, you asshole!
Because the N64 is like the most like... What the fuck just happened to me? Alright, so I don't know if y'all could hear that, so let's run it back.
Oh! No, I'm out of the map.
The lifeline for me is $5.
Yeah, but Fetty's lifelines suck.
No, they don't. This is the door I know how to do. So
There, I fucking got it. Now what?
Wait. Be careful.
Stop.
Oh, you're gonna explain it to him? Oh, that's crazy.
What is that?
Piece of cake.
Fuck that shit. Fuck that shit, bro. I just spent an hour and 40 minutes fucking trying to get through 2 goddamn doors, bro.
But you got it.
I did get it. Cool, great. I got it.
They get these 2 fucking...
Adding to all of this happening, new and old runners started doing runs as well. With more than 8 active players in a month, Spider-Man 2000 was going through a renaissance era. And this was just the beginning. In March, after thinking about it for a while and having this time the support of the crew, I decided to talk to the mods once more about the hidden emulator rules. Our goal was to get a leaderboard split instead of just hiding the dozens of emu runs we had at the time. After debating it for a bit, mods decided to revert the rules and give us the split between console and emulator. A happy ending on both sides. And once this was done, I finally got back to doing some serious attempts in 80%. For the sake of this video, I will still be covering both console and emu times as one leaderboard, since while one is harder to play than the other, they both still run the same version of the game. So the world record was still 31:12, and my personal best was 35:33. Haven't touched the category in months, I was thinking I might need to do the Ross for a while, but all these races I had been doing with the crew in the no skips category helped me like I've never imagined.
World record! Let's go, Soda!
Yo, Soda, you like actually insane, bro.
Oh my god, bro.
Forget 39. Forget it.
Oh shit.
Holy fuck, bro. Let's go.
My movement got quite better, and after just a few days of attempts, I got a 33:16 and a 32:39 just an hour later as a result of it. I knew after this run that it was possible. I could beat Will's time. On a side note, when it comes to new discoveries, there was one major tech discovered by Matt. On March 18, Matt posted a new method of clipping through the walls on elevator descent. It was way easier and most importantly, faster. In order to do this, you must hold the swing button while zipping to the opposite wall. This is called nowadays a zip clip and works on every other instance as long as you have 2 opposite walls and decent enough space to clip. 10 days later, another discovery was made by Burke and Fetty in the level Symbiosis Infest Bugle. If you use the wall clip method on this corner, you can reach to the next area while this still remains unloaded. Then, you can swing to the last area and jump to the next level trigger, which, as stated before, is always active. While this saved a substantial amount of time, it was really difficult to get the wall clip consistently, so it was one of those high-risk, high-reward skips. Around this time, a new Discord server was made. This was entirely dedicated to Spider-Man 2000, since having only a text channel in the Spidey server wasn't the best option due to the increased number of runners we had. I continued the grind knowing these new strats and at the same time found minor optimizations in some levels, like these zips in missile attack that only save around 3 seconds, and a better way to maintain height in Race to the Bugle. From March 24 to April 1st, I started streaming daily to reach my goal. I edited my live split too. Instead of comparing to my own personal best, I wanted to compare against the world record splits, and just the very first day, I got another PB of 31:43. I was finally getting close. Then, on the 7th day, I got this run.
Apparently, I don't know. The game hates me when I get to basement.
Even though this was a small improvement, I was really happy to be the second person to beat the legendary 3140 by our task. But of course, I knew I was capable of taking the top spot, especially considering what went wrong on my last run. A slow hostage situation, a really bad Rhino fight, a 4-cycle Venom, and of course, a catastrophic Bugle's basement. I turned off stream and went to sleep, hoping April was going to be my lucky month. I started this run strong, with a clean hostages and a good bump. I was ahead by 8 seconds after the Scorpion fight. I gained an extra 10 seconds thanks to a smooth chase section as well. So far so good, but I couldn't lose focus now. Rhino is known to be such a jerk in under these circumstances. We lost a bit of time, but we carry on. After a sweet Venom and an amazing pipe section, I was back with a big lead. We were halfway there, and I was already getting nervous. We played Sewage Plant very safe, but ended up losing time on hidden switches. Tunnel Crawl was next, and many runs had died here before. Now, this was a very dangerous situation. The only way I can get the 1-cycle tunnel is to get a long zip on the second section of it. The chances were looking slim, and I was ready to hit the reset button. A miracle. The run is still alive. Time for another run killer, the Venom RNG. Good luck and good execution. At this point, I knew how to do the wall clip on this level, but I wasn't consistent at it, so I completed the intended way. Over half a minute ahead, but it was time to face the skip that scared me the most. After a standard trench and stopping the fog, we knew this was it. The last trick of the run. If I get the one cycle duck, I will have it in the bag. If I don't, that will be 40 seconds down the drain. I took a deep breath. Mission succeeded, and after a well-behaved carnage, the last chase was the only thing left. But I couldn't be overconfident, as there were many cases of people clipping accidentally out of bounds, losing their runs in an instant. I had to be very careful.
Yes! Finally! I finally did it, yo!
It was done. After 2.5 years, William Force 3112 was finally beaten. My sum of best splits was near the 28 territory, which only meant that sub 30 was more than doable without the mistakes I made throughout the run. However, I felt satisfied with this time and decided to take a break from grinding this game. The activity on the server kept increasing during mid-2023. New runners were joining the community. Experienced runners were hanging out, doing all types of races and optimizing other categories. A new task was in the makings by Grandpa Glasses. And added to all of this was the discovery of new tricks and strats. In June, Grandpa discovered an alternative skip for Symbios in Bugle. If you sit between the wall and the cabinet in this part of the room, you can be pushed out of bounds and be able to swing below the floor to reach the next area without loading it entirely. This was easier compared to the wall clip method, but still a precise trick nonetheless. You have to be fast enough to zip, otherwise the symbiote will start attacking you. And you need to time your swings well, or you could end up re-entering the first area or overshooting the next one. Some members of the community also started to fight Rhino with a different strat, the Web-Dome one. Apparently, it's a couple seconds faster if you just spam the Web-Dome attack on Rhino for the whole fight. The key here is to be as close as possible to Rhino when doing it. If you do it right, the Web-Dome will deal a big amount of damage and the fight will end quicker. In the same month, me and Burke were trying to find ways to collect the comic in Underwater Trench. For years, it's been implied that only the N64 could get to this room below by clipping through this pipe. This wasn't possible on other versions of the game, so we decided to play a bit to see if we could bust this myth. After a couple of hours, just when we were about to give up, this happened.
What just happened?
This is known as a floor clip or sim clip, and while everyone has seen numerous of these during casual runs or playthroughs, we never considered using it as a strat. This tech was then later used to find skips in the training level item hunt, when Burke and second place both clipped through the floor to reach the secret area of that level faster. A month later, Freddy would also accidentally find a usage of this in the sequel, Enter Electro. Hence why some people refer to this tech as Freddyfall as a meme. Talking about this tech is important though, since it will be used in a future skip.
What? Huh?
Meet Spyren, a runner from New Yorkshire in England. He started running in July of 2023, but his interest for running this game predates way back to 2018. His goal: conquer the PlayStation leaderboard, and let me tell ya, he was very determined about it.
42 minutes. Woo! Boom. Oh, I missed the trigger. I wasn't pushing forward. Yes, 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 yes. Woo! 31-19, GG. Oh my days. Ah, that was so good.
In less than a month, Spyron had already beaten Arthas 3140, putting his time right behind Will and Force. Watching Spyron runs live was definitely something special and motivated me to get back on the grind to see if I could still improve my time. But I wanted to try something new. I skipped that no one has used before in a run, due to how ridiculously hard it was. I skipped so obscure that many people weren't even aware of its existence. This is Tunnel Crawl Skip. Found when Arthas was still around, this skip was theorized to save 10 seconds, but that's only if you could do it fast enough. In order to do the skip, you must drop to one of the sides in the big area where the deadly water is. Only here the water death flame doesn't reach us. Next, you must perform a wall clip here to be able to drop out of bounds, just to immediately perform very precise swings to get to the last section. It might look easy, but you need to have in mind that the death plane for this area is immensely big. If you swing too high, you get an instant death, and if you are too low, you won't be able to get a swing going, basically killing you too. This skip is, to this day, the hardest skip in the entire game, and at this point in time it was considered unrealistic to hit during a run on a good pace. Truly a run killer in all of its glory. Still, despite all warnings, both me and Spyron started streaming runs using this skip.
You know what, boys and girls, you know what it's gonna be. We're doing the tunnel skip.
Just 23 more seconds. Just 23 more seconds.
We did it! We did it, boys! The 39 is real! There it is, bro.
The first sub 30 on PlayStation. A big accomplishment not only for the PS members, but also for the whole community, as PlayStation was known as the only version of the game without a time under 30 minutes. Just a couple days later, Spider would also set a new personal best, bopping Will's time and being the second runner to ever reach 30.
PB at last! PB at last! And it's a sub 31. Chop, chop, chop.
Given the amount of attention the game was receiving in these last months, and the 23rd anniversary coming really soon, I proposed an event called Web the Record, inspired by Break the Record, a speedrunning competition where runners were gathered together to set their base time over a weekend. This competition was held online from September 8 to 10. We had multiple people from different versions playing in the event, and of course, me and Spyran were also there. The pressure to beat the current world record of 29:48 was on.
Did he have to reset? Oh, that sucks, actually.
Oh, shoot.
Oh, targeting.
So I'm gonna jump in the. Oh,
We
he
need-
gets it.
Oh, he's going for it.
Oh, no, he teased it. Teased it, teased it.
After 3 days, neither me or Spyran were able to beat the record. Heck, we didn't even hit a single 29 during the whole event. We got some amazing paces, but we couldn't execute the later levels properly. While the event was a success overall, we both knew there clearly was potential for a 28-minute run, and sooner or later, it was going to be a reality. The community remained active during the rest of 2023, with new runners joining from time to time and new strats and optimizations being made every week or so. Most of these were minor timeses while others were too inconsistent to perform. The meta for runs remained the same as before. Holidays arrived and everyone was just as united as ever. I kinda want to mention this as a side note. The purpose of this video is to recap part of the large speedrun history of this game, and this also includes the way the community has grown and evolved as a group itself. Take a look at how much has changed in over a year. This is, for me, what speedrunning is all about. Alright, back with the history. On the 29th of December 2023, Spyran posted this on the server. The second sub 30 on PlayStation, and only 11 seconds off world record. A really solid run with the only notable time losses happening on Race to the Bugle, the second Venom fight, and Carnage. Now, I've seen scenarios where some people at this point would have tried to improve their world record so the second place wouldn't catch them. But I, personally, wanted Spyran to beat my time. Not only did he deserve being in the top spot, but I also like watching the game being pushed to its absolute limits. No one could have predicted what 2024 brought to the SM2K community. Just in the first couple of weeks welcoming January, I found a way to skip Venom's puzzle. Remember the floor clip we discussed earlier? By getting Spidey standing between the grid and the floor, we can get a seam clip and fall through it. After this, you gotta do a few zip cancels to get all the way to the end, and boom, you beat the level. Spyro then shared a better setup to fall out of bounds consistently. This would save around 8 seconds if done very fast. But this was only the beginning. Just a day after this discovery, Nilo found something way bigger. He sent multiple clips for different categories and backups for already known strats, but the most important was the last one. Introducing the Flying Spider. While looking for other methods to skip tunnel crawl, Nilo found a never-before-seen tech. In order to trigger the spider fly state, you must meet two conditions. The first one is to get a zip after you aim at a certain spot, and the second one is to get an immediate swing after this zip. Once you've done this, you must cancel the swing and voila! Now, take into consideration that once you are in this state, controls are, in some cases, reversed. So if you press up, you will fly downwards, as an example. But this is not the only downside to the trick. Being in this state means you are in a temporary falling animation. And once the game recognizes you've been falling for more than 8 seconds, it instantly restarts the level. In order to keep flying, you must swing cancel to restart this invisible timer on you. This new tech can be used in several levels, but so far it's only been useful in 2. Tunnel Crawl, as shown already, and Scale the Girders, which Nilo also found. The Flying Spider will then replace the OG Tunnel Crawl skip, as it was way easier and less riskier to perform during attempts. Later that same day, I managed to find a faster way to skip stop the presses. By doing a wall clip at the beginning of the level on this wall, you can swing below the area and skip the load trigger. Then, with a precise jump around this wall, you can swing to the only tangible spot in the middle of the second area, loading some parts of it, including the exit trigger. This saves about 8 seconds, but it is really difficult to nail. 2 days after all these discoveries, on the 12th of January, a notification to all Spidey runners came through speedrun.com. Spyran has done it. He beat the 2948. But for how much? Let me guide you through the run to see if you can guess. Spyran started pretty much on par with his PB after bank approach, but accidentally pressed save game in hostage situation. This, added to a bit of a sloppy movement during the level and a bad bomb section, put him behind by 12 seconds, a significant disadvantage to have in the early game. However, despite this, he continued the run. It's one of those moments where you just want to see where the run goes. His movement in Race to the Bugle was a delight to watch, and he also managed to get the one cycle Scorpion right after. His chase levels weren't that great though. He got shot in building top chase, and he also didn't attempt a new Flying Spider in Scale the Girders. Even with these minor hiccups, he was still only 3 seconds behind his personal best. But Rhino was next, and let's just say, he wasn't in the best mood. Being 28 seconds behind, Spyran thought this wasn't going to PB anymore, and decided to make this a no-reset run to practice the later levels. His best possible time though told another story. After a good chase and fight with Venom, he got a gold in Sewer Entrance thanks to the great but risky swings he took under the pipes. From Rhino to the end of Subway, every level had been almost close to perfect, and his pace was starting to make the comeback of the century. He couldn't get comfy though, as the skip's heavy section of the run had just started. Another gold, this time in Tunnel Crawl, You might be wondering when will he implement some of the new stuff found just 2 days ago, and to that, I show you the next 20 seconds of his run.
Well, look what I found.
Yeah, this was the first time Spyron had tried the new skip on a run, and he got it on the first try. At this point, Spyron knew he had to go all out to keep the momentum of this base going. And so he did.
Sorry, that was so loud. 28! I can't even believe it! Oh my days!
A run that was going to the history books of SM2K. Without a doubt, the best comeback a runner could get after such an unlucky beginning. The first 28 belonged to Spyron, and I couldn't be more proud of my buddy and his achievement. In February of 2024, an old runner named Crypto came back to the game looking to do some runs. He wasn't very talkative, but it was clear that this game and the community around it meant a lot to him. When he noticed the amount of activity this speed game had, he proposed the idea of an any % tournament. It would be PlayStation exclusive, console and emulators included. The idea quickly gained traction and soon enough, 10 runners would sign up for the event. The tourney was set to start in March, so players would have a couple of weeks to prepare for it. And thus, the training began. Wait, hold on. Is that a 28.56? Just a day before the tournament started, the 28th of February, I was doing practice runs for consistency and got a run that beat world record by only 1 second. Similarly to Spyron, this run also had a weak start, with a terrible police evaded and a bad rhino fight. However, I managed to come back from that with the new flying spider in Tunnel Crawl. My second fight with Venom was also really tragic, but I had plenty of time saving Bugle's basement. So once I nailed the trick there, the pace was suddenly alive for a 28. This didn't last long though, as I lost several seconds on Mysterio and Warehouse Escape. On Underwater Trench, my best possible time was at 28.55. And I was already convinced that I wasn't going to get that time with still 4 levels to go. But after the cleanest stopping the fog I ever did, the hopes were not lost yet. After getting the one cycle on dock and defeating Carnage, this was my best possible time. Which meant if I were to tie my gold in one of the longest and more technical levels in the game, I could get a 28. But world record was out of the equation, as my BPT was missing it by 2 seconds. Or at least, that's what I thought. I gold Monster Rock by 3 seconds, an unexpected and shocking new world record. Of course, with all the time saved there was in it, everyone expected the next world record to happen very soon, and many of us bet it would happen in the middle of the tournament.
Yep, here it is.
I think Jesse's got it.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does.
40-10.
That's a 40-10 for Jesse, and it's a 40-20
Oh my
for Crypto. It was a
days.
10-second difference.
Jesse can't believe it.
Like this is insane, honestly. This is top level play at its finest. I'm sure both runners are going to run across.
Oh, no!
Soda dive
Oh,
on
no!
top row. Looking good on the setup, and it looks good on the lineup, but unfortunately, could not get the second swings to go through.
I mean, only 2 people have gotten under 31 in the emulator category, at least. So, yeah, and it's these 2.
The seeding phase ended and no improvement over the world record happened there. Not even the best times were able to reach a 29. It was clear that getting a good run going in a race setting wasn't easy at all. Crypto then gave us 2 weeks off before the final bracket began. While some used this time to focus on other activities, others started grinding and improving their skill. Nilo, on the other hand, made yet another discovery in the game. He found a consistent way to trigger ghost cutscenes. But what are those exactly? You see, in the game we have these FMV, or full motion video, cutscenes that are used to narrate the story and keep progressing the plot of the game through each level.
Here it is, the records room.
Surf the web, surf the web.
Around 2023, runner Fetty accidentally got rid of all of these FMV cutscenes after the Mysterio fight, meaning that these weren't even showing up to be skipped, saving around 17 seconds. This was called cutscene skip, later renamed to ghost cutscenes to avoid confusion. Nobody knew how and why this happened, and after dozens of attempts to replicate it, we couldn't get it again. Later that year, while WEB-The Record was happening, the same thing occurred to me. This proved it wasn't a hardware malfunction, as I was playing on emulator, but despite this certainty, we still didn't know how to replicate it. All of this led to this moment, in March 2024, where Nilo showed our setup to be able to get these ghost cutscenes at will. You have to be in the level stopping the fog, and after webbing the first 2 switches, grab the fire web in the middle of the area and shoot a fireball to the last switch. Immediately skip the cutscene and web once more before the final cutscene shows up. If you do this right, you will have triggered the ghost cutscenes, so the only thing left to do is to begin your run as normal, get to Mysterio, and after beating him you will notice that the rest of these FMV cutscenes are gone. This big discovery generated an open debate though. Will this be allowing runs? And if so, should we count the time it took to set up the glitch? A lot of arguments were made, but the community decided in the end to do a handshake agreement and ban ghost cutscenes on the leaderboards. Following this, runner Mr. Monge started loving and stopping the fog to understand how the setup with the fire web works. He found that we could use the fire web to skip a switch. meaning we will only need to firebolt the second out of 3 switches, twice. Later the same day, he managed to complete the level by only fireballing one of the 3 switches, although a little tricky to do. However, me and Ink found a way to make it way easier and free. All of this culminated in a new skip, which we called Skipping the Fog. This saved 12 seconds. The only other minor strat found in these days off from the tournament was a new Carnage strat. You already know how this boss fight works. You grab and push Carnage to the Sonic Bubble Zone, then spam web balls and wait for him to die. If you take a look here, you can notice that he takes more damage when the bubble is on, as intended. On April 3rd, I was toying around this boss level and wondered if there was a way to keep the Sonic Bubble on for the entirety of the fight. With precise timing, I managed to find a way to do it. If you push Carnage out of the bubble before this one pops, and then pull him again, the bubble doesn't pop when it should. This trick resets the timer the bubble has, so after just repeating the same action over and over again, you can kill Carnage quicker than before. This strat is not as easy to pull off compared to the standard one, but if you do it right, it can save up to 5 seconds alone. One day later, on April 4th, just a day before the final bracket began, me and Spyran went live. While I was running a category called Captain Universe, he was running any percent. After many runs, we were tired and decided ultimately to do one more run before going off.
Boys! Oh, oh, yes! Yes, we did it! Yes! Oh, yes! Oh, thank goodness for that, bro. I nearly went to bed as well. Can you believe that? World record again!
Such a roller coaster of a run. That night, we both got PBs at the same time. The final bracket was about to start and Spyran just set a brand new world record. Question remained, would it happen again, but in these next races?
go
got
right this
it.
through. I think that 3 off. Oh no!
Oh no!
A 32-28. Very, very good. GG to Sotalia.
And we're seeing him skip the last. Yep, there it is.
There
and
it
that
is.
was a perfect God pipes.
Side, missing an input. And just a sliver of health left. Oh my goodness!
No, that's crazy.
Oh no!
That is time for Nilo, a 30-09.
Heart, so much spirit, so much dedication between both these runners, so much commitment to doing the best that they can. And Sotalia will close this run out.
After a month of insane, fun, and competitive races, only 3 runners remained for the end of it. Nilo, the PC runner that quickly started to improve on his PlayStation runs for the tournament, was awaiting in the grand finals for his opponent. Meanwhile, in the losers finals, Spyron and I were about to face each other for the last time in this tournament. We already had a match at the seeding phase, a very close one in which I gained the upper hand due to some mistakes from Spyron. However, we both leveled up our game since then, so the outcome could be different this time.
See, what two people are better for it to come down to in losers bracket than Soda and Spyron? Little rivalry since they've been in the scene.
I knew this could potentially be my last race in the tourney, so I decided to turn on my webcam for the stream, as I thought it would show how important this match was for me. Neither Spyron nor I knew at that moment that one of us was about to get a new world record.
$28.09 from Spyron. Is that what I think it is?
Let me see.
Is that what I think it is? That is a world record, ladies and gentlemen.
That is
from
a
Spyron.
world record.
An unforgettable match. That night, we both got the first and second best times out of the whole tournament. And while I lost against Spyron, fair and square, in retrospect, I think we all won something greater. This world record felt more like a celebration to the community as a whole. Spyron then faced Nilo in the grand finals, and not only did he reset the bracket by winning game 1, he also became the first Spider-Man champion.
Congratulations to Spyron, the winner of the Spider-Man 2000 PlayStation Any % tournament.
So what's next? Well, speedrunners are known for breaking barrier over barrier in a game. See that 2809? Looks insanely close to a 27. So what do you think happened next?
With only 1 second away from each other, the race for the first Sub 28 on PlayStation was on. And just 4 days later, on May 14th, Spyran turned on his stream. "14 seconds ahead. Time to enter the Seaward Gauntlet." A bit slow, but the run is not over. This is the level where nerfs kick in. Wonderfully executed. Just one more level before the Seaward is over. A bit of time loss, but the run continues. Perfect. He's now 22 seconds ahead. If he can keep this pace on the rest of the levels, this might be a new...
You're absolutely disgusting. Put me out of bounds, damn it! Don't lose to this, please. Oh, that's disgusting! Elevator descent. Every time. Oh, I swear, bro. This level hates me.
Heartbreaking moment. This game can sometimes become your worst enemy. The jankiness of Spider-Man 2000 is something no one should underestimate. If the game wouldn't have messed up Spyran there, that run was more than likely the 27 he was looking for. He continued doing runs that day, but couldn't get a similar pace afterwards.
this is where the record stands today. But looking back through the whole history of this game, I know for a fact that it's not going to be there for long. The current days for Spider-Man 2000 are looking shinier than ever. New runners keep joining the community from time to time, and many of them are improving insanely fast. All runners still play regularly, and some keep looking for ways to break the game even more. Nowadays, more events are being held to celebrate this underrated speedrunning gem. And bigger speedrun organizations are becoming aware of its potential. Whatever happens next, I have a feeling that this is just the beginning, Spidey fans. So get ready for a true speed game, packed to the brim with tricks and skips, strats and sequence breaks, more out of bounds than you can shake a web at, and of course, non-stop, web slinging, wall crawling, action! Yo, thank you so much for watching the vid. This was my biggest project yet, and I can't believe it's finally over. I wanna give a huge shout out to these channels for inspiring me in making this type of content, and I highly recommend checking their videos if you haven't already. This game still has many stories that need to be told, and runners that also deserve the spotlight. So if you're interested in watching more of this speed game, be sure to check out Osukaru's channel. He's currently working on a video about the N64 scene, and I'm sure he will be releasing it very soon. That's all for me. Hopefully I can get around to make more videos of topics I like, but only time will tell. Until next time, true believers.